Alright, so now we're going to solve the system graphically and algebraically. So you should recognize this, x squared plus y squared as being a circle, and with a y and just an x, that's going to be a line. So let's graph our circle. Our center is at 0, 0, and it has a radius of 4. So go over 4, up 4, left 4, and down 4. And let's go ahead and draw our circle. Alright, now let's draw our line. So we have a y-intercept of positive 4. And so you'll notice that it touches the circle right there. And now we'll do our slope. Negative 1 over 1. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And you'll notice that it touches the circle right there. And so this is actually kind of nice because it touches the circle at nice points. And so we pretty much already know the solution. But since the directions that we actually read today say solve algebraically, we're going to solve it both ways. So right now we think the solution is here, and we think the solution is here. I think the first solution is going to be 0, 4, and I think the second solution is going to be at 4, 0. So two answers. Alright, so since we have this, x squared plus y squared equals 16, and it tells us that y equals this expression, we're just going to rewrite this, x squared plus, now instead of writing y, we'll write negative x plus 4 squared equals 16, and we'll FOIL this out and see what happens. So we get x squared, and so if off to the side you need to either do the box method or if you just want to FOIL it, you need to simplify it. So we get negative 4x, negative 4x, plus 16. Combine them. So we're going to have x squared minus 8x plus 16. And you would have got the same thing if you used my shortcut of square double square. So we have x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 16. So clean this up, and we get 2x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 16. So since it's quadratic, we're going to make it equal 0. So I'm going to minus 16 from both sides. And when we minus 16, something nice happens. The 16s drop out, which is going to make it an easier problem. And so we have 2x squared minus 8x. And when the 16 minus 16, it gives us a 0. And why this is a nice problem is because now these have a GCF. And so now I can take out a 2x. So I have 2x and then x minus 4 equals 0. And so now I just split these into 2 and just say 2x equals 0, x minus 4 equals 0. So divide by 2 here. So I get x equals 0. Here, just add 4 to both sides. And so I get x equals 0 and x equals 4. So now we need to get the y part of our point, and so we're just going to take it and plug it in. And so we'll plug in the 0 first. So y equals a negative 0 plus 4, which is just 0 plus 4, which is just 4. So our first point is 0, 4, which is what we got. Our second point is going to be y equals negative 4 plus 4. And negative 4 plus 4 is 0, which is our second point, 4 comma 0. So we were able to actually get the correct solutions from our graph, but since we have these directions, we had to solve it graphically and algebraically. So it is that time of the video where you should know what comes next. And it's the last joke of the video. So, knock knock. Who's there? Polly. Polly who? Polynomial. Y the third degree. This would also be a good time to pause the video and try this one on your own. Alright, so we have a circle, and now since this is an x squared, we're going to have a parabola. So let's graph our circle first. It has a center of 0, 0. The radius is just going to be 3. We go up 3, right 3, left 3, and down 3. And draw our circle. And now we're going to draw a parabola. Okay, so this is just a generic parabola, shifted down 3. So as we go 1, 2, 3, again we have something nice happen. It lands on our where our radius ends, and so now we're going to sketch our parabola. And one of the things about a parabola is that it always goes up 1 over 1, and that's because if I were to plug 1 in, I would get 1 squared is 1, 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So I know it's a point there. And I can do the same thing with 2. Plug 2 in. 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 3 is 1. So it's just going to be a 2, 1. Plug in 3. 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 3 is 6. So I know at 3 it's going to be up here at 6. And I'm only doing this to try to get a better sketch. And so this is my line of symmetry. So I'm 3 away. 3 away, line of symmetry, 2 away, 2 away. So now I can sketch this. And over here. Alright, so looks like we're going to have 3 answers. So we have 1, 2, 3. So now we have to figure out how we're going to solve this. So we have x squared plus y squared equals 9, and we have y equals x squared minus 3. And so one of the easy ways to solve this is, since this has an x squared and this has an x squared, I'll be able to replace them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this equation for x squared. I want to add 3 to both sides. And so this gives me y plus 3 equals x squared. So now I can replace x squared with y plus 3. So now I have y plus 3, so that replaced that. And now I have plus y squared equals 9. Let's rewrite it. Y squared plus y plus 3 equals 9. And now let's make it equal 0. So we're minus 9 from both sides. Minus 9 minus 9. And so we have y squared plus y minus 6 equals 0. And so what's going to happen is this is going to become y plus 3, y minus 2 equals 0. And so you should be able to look at this and know that y is going to give us 2 answers, a negative 3 and a positive 2. So now we're going to take that and we're going to plug it in, and we'll solve from here. So let's use our other equation. Let's start with y equals x squared. Actually, since we already solved it for x squared, we'll just use that. So we're going to use this. Y plus 3 equals x squared. And so we'll start with negative 3. Negative 3 plus 3 equals x squared. So we get 0 equals x squared. And so now we take the square root. And so that gives us 0 equals x. And there's no plus or minus 0. So I have one solution at, now we had the y first, so it's going to be 0, negative 3. And then now we'll do that again, but we'll plug 2 in. So it'll be 2 plus 3 equals x squared. So I get 5 equals x squared. And we'll get rid of that by square rooting both sides. And so that gives us, now we're going to have a plus or a minus the square root of 5 equals x. And so this gives us the square root of 5, comma, remember the y was 2, and then we have negative square root of 5, comma, 2. So those are our three answers. So if you wanted to write it as a decimal, this would be the square root of 5 would become negative 2.2. This would be negative 2.2. So if you were to go to our graph, you go over 2 and a little bit, up 2, so that would be right there. That was a pretty good guess on our graph. And then over 2.2, up 2, right about there. That wasn't a bad graph. So I don't really care how you give me the answer. This might be the better answer. It's more exact because there's no rounding involved. So either one's fine.